Welcome to the Citizen channel, and today on the Citizen channel we're going to have a History Boys feature, one of our regulars we do all season long, certainly for the 21-22 season. Obviously a forthcoming game when I'm doing this, but obviously it comes there forever then, doesn't it? So we're going to have a look at a game on the 1st of January 1987, yes, New Year's Day, and it's a game between Watford, the Hornets, of course, and our beloved Manchester City at Vicarage Road, League Division 1 game at the time, 1st January 1987. So I'm going to have a look at that. Just a quick look at the UK in January 87 first, what was happening in and around a couple of bits there. Personally, I was in a publishing company. I had my own little publishing business with a partner. We're doing okay. Obviously, harder times around the corner, but it was going okay as of January 1987. But I was finding I was sort of literally working 12-hour days. I was getting the odd day off, so I wasn't getting too many games that season. I can tell that by looking at my sort of programme collection from that year as well. Not as many as other seasons, but it was all to do with work and family. So these things happen, obviously, in life. It's lovely to go to every City game over the course of your life, but obviously you can't always get to them, can you? But as I say, it was hard work at the time, I must admit, but very enjoyable. With something I loved to do as well at the time. Yeah, most of Britain was affected as I'm recording this. Very similar. It's very cold here at the moment. It's warmed up a little bit today, but most of Britain was affected by heavy snow and sub-zero temperatures back on January the 1st, 1987. And yes, I use the word gollywogs, yes, because that featured gollywogs in Enid Blyton's books were replaced by the publisher with gnomes, of course, following complaints that the old gollywogs are offensive to black people. Obviously, things moved on from there as well with obviously the jam makers and people like that, didn't it? Economists predict that the unemployment in the UK would fall below the 3 million mark by the end of this year, so by the end of 87. I didn't go and check whether it did or not, guys. I'm not going to go back and do that, but hey, there you go. It's over 3 million. Well, there you go. Reet Petite, the finest girl you're ever gonna meet. There, I think that was something like that. Anyway, Jackie Wilson was, of course, number one in the singles charts. And as you'd expect, a compilation was number one as far as the Christmas charts, Christmas album charts were concerned. Now eight. I don't know what we're up to. The last one we did, it was up to about 365 or something. I'm not too sure. But Now 8 was top of the album charts. And an interesting little cartoon animated series had just aired on the BBC. Yes, Thundercats. Remember that? Yeah, I do remember snippets of it. I think my lad was into it a little bit, I think. I'm not too sure about the girls, to be honest with you. And Top Gun and Crocodile Dundee. Yeah, we're getting a reboot of Top Gun, aren't we? And Crocodile Dundee had been the 1986 box office. It was the end of the year, obviously, had been the best box office in the year. And a pound then, yes, a pound in 1987 would get you the grand total of £2.95 today, or be worth £2.95 today. So not a lot of difference, was there? Right, back to the match, back to January 1987. Yeah, Watford, the Hornets. They were labelled the friendly football club. I'm not sure whether that was self-labelled by them or someone else. I'm not too sure. I don't think it was too far wrong. But yeah, they prided themselves on being the friendly football club. Of course, Graham, do I not like that? Taylor was the manager at the time of Watford. He wouldn't be for much longer, but he certainly was at that point in time. And the programme, the match day programme, not a massive tome, which they were in those days. The match day programmes cost 70p. Interesting enough, Taylor in his programme notes, because this was the 1st of January, because it had to go to the printers. Don't forget, this is the old days by the 19th of December, so about 12 or 13 days before. He had no clue what to write about because he couldn't talk about the games over Christmas. So he just set the second, but he had a quiz. I think first half of the quiz, we like quizzes, don't we? In the previous programme, I think against Newcastle, I think it was. I might be right in that. And this was the second part in the quiz in this programme. So no manager's notes, just a quiz. I'm sure. Did he set it himself? I'm not too sure. Probably, possibly. You never know. So anyway, Watford did have a draw and 2 wins over the Christmas period. So I think if he had written about the games, I think he would have been reasonably happy. The programme also sort of featured, as it would, featured City, lamented that City could be in a relegation battle the following May. All right, not exactly psych psychic at his best, is it? Because let's be honest about it, we were actually in the bottom four then anyway, and not playing particularly well. But obviously with half the season gone, it wasn't hard to imagine that we would be struggling. And yes, we would be struggling. That's for sure. Watford thought Mick McCarthy was one to look out for City. Good player. Not a bad little manager, was he? I suppose in small doses, but he was the one to look out for. And as stated, Watford had an okay Christmas, which had put them more comfortable around mid-table. Yeah, they've been a bit lower, but obviously with the 2 wins and a draw over Christmas, they managed to sort of go just under halfway. So they were a lot more comfortable than City were, let's be honest about it. City themselves were just obviously had a Boxing Day win. So previous to this, I think I was there at that one. Not many Boxing Day games at Main Road I missed. Sheffield Wednesday, a 1-0 win. And goalkeeper Perry Suckling was our man of the match. So we were perhaps a little bit fortunate to get away with a 1-0 win, but we're quite happy with that. But sadly, on December the 28th, just literally 2 days after, we had a trip down to Charlton, who was struggling as well. They were struggling. I think they were about a point better off than us. That was it. So they were struggling. Embarrassingly, we were walloped 5-0. If you went down to that Charlton game, all credit, give us a shout. Let me know in the comments. But absolutely walloped and embarrassed by Charlton 5-0. And as I said, they weren't much better off than us. So that was really embarrassing for Jimmy Frizzell and City and the fans in general. Of course, Frizzell was left in charge after McNeil had deserted us, of course, for pastures new at Aston Villa, who we'll talk about again in a little while, in a few minutes, for a few extra quid. Obviously, the previous September, we'd only won one. Obviously, he'd only won one in 6 games for City that season. That was the opening game of the season as well. So he deserted us. Jimmy Frizzell was in charge as we went to Vicarage Road. There was a crowd of 15,514 there that day. And the teams, just go through the interesting teams. Even Watford's is quite an interesting 11 as well. So you've got Tony Colton for Watford in goal. There you go. Obviously, links with City. Dave Barslett, Steve Sims, Wilf Rostron, remember him, John McClelland, Kevin Richardson, Gary Porter, Kenny Jackett, Nigel Callaghan. Of course, one of their heroes, legends, John Barnes. We'll talk about him again. And Mark Falco. So it wasn't a bad team there for Watford, was it? I mean, City, there we go. Perry Suckling, Mick McCarthy, Kenny Clements, Steve Redmond, John Gidman, Clive Wilson, Neil McNabb, Tony Grealish, Paul Simpson, Imre Varadi, Banana, Paul Molden. So it was okay. It wasn't a total classic City team, of course, and that's probably why we were struggling a little bit that season. And the match itself was actually notable for 2 very late goals in each half. Yeah, I mean, John Barnes had actually put Watford ahead on the brink of half time. It went down as 45 minutes, actually put Watford into the lead. But with all appearing a little loss for City and yet another defeat for us on the road, obviously pressure did lead to us actually scoring right at the very end, on the 90th minute when, him himself, Imre Varadi, snatched what was probably a deserved equaliser overall on the stroke of full time to give us a 1-1. So we did remain 19th. It didn't move up the league or anything, but we did remain 19th. I think we won the game after this, so we did go to the heady heights of about 15th, I think, before things started turning sour again. But so there you go, Watford 1, City 1. And we remain 19th spot in the league. Of course, the prophecy in the programme of City fighting relegation in May would come true. And this was the first season, don't forget, of the playoffs where the team finishing 20th or third from bottom would play off against second division sides for the right to stay in the Premier League. A certain chairman, Mr. Swales, played a big part in this rule, or bringing this in. And he was possibly getting all excited, wasn't it, as the season droned on, that perhaps City he could see money. You could see a bit of a money spinner, because the City fans would have turned out for this if it ended up as a playoff thing. But obviously we threw a spanner in the works by finishing 21st, so we didn't even make 20th spot to have this little money spinner at the end. So I'm sure Mr. Swells was absolutely gutted by that. Not probably minorly gutted about the relegation, but certainly gutted the fact he couldn't have a last little payday in these playoffs that he'd instigated or been part instigator of in the first place. So we were automatically relegated This hadn't been helped by the return game against Watford the following April the April after this game, April the 18th, when in front of just 18,541 fans at Main Road. Yes, we sort of dropped off just a little bit, fans, but hey, loyalty's, there is loyalty, but sometimes you get pushed to the extremes, don't you? Watched Watford beat us 2-1, so that certainly didn't help in the overall scheme of things. Watford would finish 9th that season. Very respectable, very respectable. But of course, it is some of the ironies that come out of this sort of thing. Mr. Taylor would leave them to go to Villa. Yes, because a certain Billy McNeil had actually managed to take Villa down in 22nd spot. So the only club worse than us that season were Aston Villa. So in a way, not a total disaster if you're a bitter person, if you're a bitter blue or a Bertie, whatever. Not a total disaster to see Billy McNeil also go down along with us, which was, not so. It was a disaster, but at least we had that to look at, and Mr. Billy McNeil didn't work any wonders at Villa Park, so that was all good. And of course, Watford would also lose, as well as the manager, would also lose one of their icons, of course. They would lose John Barnes to Liverpool, and that's another story, isn't it? But John Barnes would actually go to Liverpool. And as such, the following season, they would finish bottom of the division and join City in the second division for a season anyway, as City would manage to bounce back up at the second attempt anyway. So at least they would come back down, go down and join us there. So there you go. Thanks for joining me for this little look. I hope you enjoyed that, this History Boys. Leave us your comments. I'm sure there's things you remember. As I say, it was a funny season for me. I know for sure I went to a few City games at Main Road. I doubt very, very much went to any away games at that time just because of work commitments and family commitments, etc. But please share your little thoughts with me, any memories you've got. That'd be absolutely brilliant. And thanks for joining me for this History Boys feature of Watford versus Manchester City back on the 1st of January 1987 at Vicarage Road. On the scale, a 1-1 draw. I think it was an okay game from reading between the lines of what I see, but at the end of the day, it didn't do us much favours as far as the season was concerned. And at least Watford did okay. They had a good season. I think they had a couple of good seasons. I think the season before they finished quite high up as well. So that was a good result for Watford as far as the league table was concerned. Anyway, thanks for watching. What are you going to do the rest of the day? Have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your families. More importantly, let's all look after each other. To meet here again on the Citizen channel. I'll perhaps have a flick across. Please check out my film and TV channel if you get a chance to try and inform and entertain on there with film and TV reviews and information vlogs, etc. So you can have a look at that when you want to have a rest from football. I would be much, much appreciated. Cheers, guys. Anyway, I only ask one thing, don't I? Only ask one thing of you. Please stay safe, Blues. Come on, City. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.